Welcome to MCN and our 2017 Superbike Shootout. This year sees the return of two former heroes in the shape of the GSX-R1000 and the Honda Fireblade. Now these two bikes have been left behind over the years with these new generation of superbikes, all of which make about 200 horsepower and are full of electronic rider aids. And it's actually the BMW over here that kind of set that trend off. When it came out in 2010, it just blew the doors off the competition and set a new level. So everyone's been playing catch up and everyone's caught up really except for the Honda and the Suzuki. So we're here to really see if these two Japanese manufacturers has done enough to keep up with the Superbike elite. So what we're going to do is put these machines through a thorough test. So we've got a performance test where we're going to judge the straight line speed, acceleration and braking of all the bikes. We're going to put all 7 bikes on the dyno on the same day to see what power they make, so it's all comparable figures. We're going to spend 2 days here on the track at Rockingham, and then to give it a little bit of a real world twist, we're going to take them on a road trip to Wales for 2 days as well. Now, as you can see, we've got all the special versions with us, and this test really is triggered off by this bike here. This is the R version of the GSX-R1000. This is the one that's come out first. We're going to be doing a test with the standard bikes in the future, but because this is an R, we've chosen the special versions of all the other bikes. So we've got the Honda Fireblade SP, we've got BMW S1000RR Sport with all the bells and whistles on it, all the options box ticked. We have got the R1M. We've got the Panigale 1299S. Obviously that's not the top version. The top version is the R and the Superleggera, but this is kind of in the same ballpark when it comes to price. And it's also our reigning Superbike champion, winning our 2016 Shootout. We've got Aprilia's new RSV4 RF, the Kawasaki ZX-10 RR. Honda's new Fireblade has been years in the making, and I think it's been worth the wait because it's more powerful than the old bike. It's a much lighter than the old bike, and for the first time it's got electronic rider aids. So this SP model has actually got electronic suspension, Öhlins, quick shifter, auto blipper, riding modes, traction control, anti-wheelie, the whole 9 yards. So this is a massive step forward for Honda. Then we've got the new Suzuki, obviously. Suzuki is completely new from the chassis upwards. New frame, new swing arm, new variable valve timing engine, which is a first for a big superbike like this. It's also got a full suite of electronic rider aids as well. So everyone's really keen to see how this does in the test. ZX-10RR. So this is a special version of the R. It's actually not that different, but the reason this bike has been built is to let the world's superbike be faster and more powerful. So it's got stronger engine cases, so it can be tuned to a higher state more safely. It's got more space in the head, so you can fit higher lift cams, but it doesn't make any more power than the standard R. But what you do get over the R is lightweight wheels, an auto blipper, and a few sort of fancy cosmetic parts. We've got Aprilia RSV4. This is new for 2017 as well. This has got a Euro 4 spec engine. Aprilia say that this bike laps their test track 1 second faster than the old one. I'm not sure what test track that is, but it's also got more refined electronics as well. This, surprisingly, is the oldest bike here now. This and the BMW. This first came out in 2009, so it's probably showing its age a little bit, but I'm sure it'll still be fast. Then we've got the Panigale. This is unchanged from 2016 apart from new electronics. This has got the Evolution traction control off the Anniversario model. This has still got a Euro 3 engine actually, it's not Euro 4, but Ducati can get away with that. They're allowed to sell a certain percentage of bikes that don't adhere to Euro 4 for another year. So as I say, this is a bike to beat. Full electronics package. It's quite tricky to ride, but when you figure out how to ride it, it is devastatingly fast. Then we've got the Yamaha. This is the M version of the R1. This is an absolutely stunning looking bike. It is limited edition. You have to pre-order it at the beginning of the year. full of carbon fibre panels, bodywork. The main difference between this and the standard bike is the electronic Öhlins suspension, and this has probably still got one of the best engine notes in biking. This is actually the winner of our 2015 Superbike Shootout. And last but by no means least, BMW's S1000RR. So this is the bike that triggered off this big power race, the big electronics race. Probably the most rounded of all the superbikes, because not only is it very powerful, it's a superb track machine. This is a fully loaded bike which has got electronic suspension, auto blipper, quick shifter, all the electronics you'd ever want. But it's also a really nice road bike because it's got a lot of refinements. You've got traction control, you've got cruise control, you've got heated grips. So as a complete road bike you can use on road and track. It's still the bike to beat.
This is the performance part of the test. It's where we're going to take each bike to the extremes of its capabilities to see how it stacks up against what the manufacturers have told us they can do. So we're here at Bruntingthorpe, which is a 2-mile long runway, and that's going to allow us to take each and every one of them right up to their top speeds. It's also going to allow us to measure their 0 to 100 times, as well as their standing quarter miles, and it's going to allow us to do a braking test as well. So from here, then we'll take them all to the dyno to see how much power they're actually making.
what we're going to basically do is go on this long road trip and just keep swapping every 50-60 miles, and we're going to be looking at the usability, the dash. Is it easy to switch all the modes and try everything? It's comfort, suspension, tank range, and then also the usability and that kind of wow factor. So when you turn up to a bike meeting or you open your garage door, are you going to look at the ZX10 in the same way you look at the GSX-R? So all we can really do now is throw on all our waterproofs and see how it's going to be for 500 to 600 miles in the best of Welsh weather.
We are back from our 1000cc group test, and we've covered all elements. We've ridden them on the road and the track, and put them on the dyno, and
Speed tested.
We've done the whole 9 yards. So let's have a little talk about what they were like on the road.
It was a road. Well, first of all, it was like what, 500-600 miles, motorways, dual carriageways, A roads, B roads, cattle grids, thunderstorms, dry, sunny, everything you could possibly do. There's nothing you can really do on these bikes that we haven't done.
On control tyres again.
So everything is set.
Rosso 3.
And on the road we can play around with the settings that they've all got, all the different rider aids, and those that have got semi-active suspension we can soften those up or harden them, depending which way we want to go with it. Any order?
Well, what stood out for you
Stood out.
as being good road bikes?
The GSX-R worked really, really well on the road. But in many ways, I had a long-term GSX-R 3 years ago. Just felt like a GSX-R.
Identical. You've had different clocks. You might think you're on the old one.
Yeah, loads of power, loads of torque. Same airbox, which a GSX-R does. Same hooliganness.
Yeah.
You can switch off the traction on the move, and when you switch it off completely, when you turn off the key and put it back on again, it's still off. It's a bit basic, which is a bit harsh, because the auto blipper and the quick shifter is really, really good. But it just feels like the old GSX-R, a little bit quicker and a little bit lighter, which is not a bad thing. The Fireblade, as you said, that felt really special, the semi-active suspension on that, because you can just go, you get on those awful cattle grid roads in Wales, flick it onto a soft mode, and it's like a sports tourer. The end's really light, turns really well, really smooth, really good throttle response, and you can change it into 3 different bikes. So you can have like a sports tour, or whichever one you want, which is a bit like the Ducati, which again, really surprising. You
Feels
look
like
at
a smooth Ducati, the Honda.
Yeah.
It's light.
You look at the Ducati and you think that's going to be awful on the road. And Ducati's got this reputation of bad reliability and awful fueling and etc, etc, and it's just not the case anymore.
Really smooth. Big clattery.
Big clarity at low speed, but a neon
Apart from
200
that,
horsepower V twin with pistons like
Dulux painting.
yeah, it's going to be a bit clattery.
Yeah.
But again, I was in really, really heavy rain when we was in Wales. Changed the modes, changed the suspension, changed the traction. You got all this safety pack. And it was just like,
The more you look at it, the more you realise the quality of it. From the RCV style dash to the welding and the frame, the paint finish,
everything.
Yeah. I thought Kawasaki was really good in the wet. It's really long and low. It's the plush suspension on it is probably the best of all the non-electronic suspension on all the bikes. The power delivery is soft on the road, so that's nice. It's not so good for the track, but it's good for the road. But even for you, it was really uncomfortable, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm 5'6", even on a warm day, and it was just like the pegs are really high. As soon as you get on it, like I rode that one first, and I went, well, you've got to make compromises for a 1000cc bike. That's why the pegs are high and the bars are low, and the screen is small. And then I jumped on the R1 and went, oh, this is a soft. Look how wide the screen is and wide the bars are. So yeah, the Kawasaki was a bit of a disappointment in terms of like comfort and putting miles on. We all know it makes a great race bike, but
It's not that road bike though, is it? It's highly
No.
modified.
No.
But
And
it's
it's
a
a-
good base.
good base. The Aprilia
Sound of it's amazing. isn't it?
sounds amazing, but it's so like a race bike for the road.
Yeah.
And if you want to get up on a Sunday morning and go for a 40-mile dangerous riding competition, brilliant, you'll
Yeah.
love it. But if you want to do anything else on it,
Very focused.
really focus.
Really high. Really
really,
hard.
really high. I struggled with it, short riders struggled with it. Not much feeling, when it was wet, when it's got, you can change the traction on the move and it's got lovely bits and lovely sound and lovely auto blipper, but it's just a race bike for the road. If that's what you want, an exotic looking race bike for the road, then fine. It's not the all-round package of the BM, which was really surprising.
BM's amazing, but we always forget about it because it is kind of bland, but it does
Yeah.
everything. But that's more the fact it's a normal inline four than the fact the BMW is bland. It's the character of the engine.
Mm.
All the other bikes got quite characterful engines, but this one, I mean, it's
And
still amazing.
And it does everything so well. So sometimes when something's so good, it just kind of,
Yeah.
you don't have to think about it. You
No.
just get on it and you ride it, and everything works perfectly well. And then you've got like heated grips and comfort and things
Cruise
like that.
control, it's really comfortable. That's got quite high pegs for me for a tall rider.
Yeah, but it feels like a big bike. It feels like
Yeah.
1,000, where some of the thousands feel like a 600. For example, the Fireblade has got the same seat to pegs to foot peg kind of triangle as the old one. But because the fairing's so small and the screen's so small,
Yeah,
the taller riders on test found it a small bike.
yeah,
Where the shorter riders, we didn't mind it so much.
that's right.
Where the BM seemed to fit everybody,
Yeah.
actually.
And then the R1M, you can't get enough of that engine, can you?
No, R1M, engine, suspension, dash, loops, carbon.
Roominess, but really uncomfortable. Seat
Seat is-
and you're right on your wrist as well.
Yeah. And no auto blipper.
Yeah, that's conspicuous by its absence now.
Yeah. Especially on one of the most expensive bikes in test, there's no blipper.
So they're all really good on the road. It's really we're nitpicking again, but it's time to give you our verdict.
Yeah.
So here's our verdict. All the bikes were really, really close in terms of lap time around Rockingham, top speed. I think they all do about 181. They're all sort of in and around the same power.
Yep.
Kind of hovering around the 190s.
Yep.
And they're all incredible bikes, all very expensive bikes as well. But in 7th place is the Kawasaki. The thing we most liked about that was its plush suspension and its smooth power. It's really nice in the wet as well because it's such a calm bike. But on the track it suffered a little bit, even though its lap time is only tenths off the others. There's a little bit too much lag on the throttle coming out of corners. It hasn't got much bottom end power, quite slow steering on track, and very tall geared on track. I think at a different circuit it might perform differently, but Rockingham's quite a small track and you're sort of in first gear a lot and not even using fourth. That makes 192 bhp, weighs 206 kilos, and that did a 131.88 on the track. In 6th place is the Aprilia. This is sort of at the high end of price wise compared to the other bikes. The best things about this bike is that V4 soundtrack, the smooth electronics, and just how special it is. It's a V4 Superbike. It's just like a mini Grand Prix bike. But on the road, we kind of marked it down. It's a little bit tall, hard, and uncomfortable.
Yep.
The electronics were too intrusive on the track. We could have turned them all the way off, but this test is as much about testing the electronics as the chassis and the engine, and it was quite unstable as well. That's quite heavy now. Weighs 211 kilos, makes 192 bhp, and that did an identical lap time to the R1 around the track at a 131.51. That was joint 5th fastest. In 5th place is Suzuki's new GSX-R 1000R. Now, we had high hopes for this bike and couldn't have hoped to compete with the Superbike Elite this time last year, so Suzuki really have moved the game along. It's the fastest of all the bikes on a quarter mile. It does a sub 10 second quarter mile, so it's really easy to launch. It's got a lot of grunt. There's power everywhere, so it feels like the old bike on the road with lots of grunt, but it feels like a new generation Superbike on the track with its big top end power. It's kind of distinctively GSX-R. It's kind of a little bit rough and ready around the edges, not ultra smooth like the Honda and some of the other bikes. And it's actually faster than the R1M on track, which is a huge achievement. On the negative side, it feels a bit too much like the old one, especially at the price. and on the track it had the worst brakes. The brakes are really fading to the point where you had to slow down a little bit earlier for the corners than you'd like. That,
really close though.
Close.
This 5th and 4th was the...
Yeah, it was actually 4th fastest around the track, doing a 130, 136. It weighs 204 kilos, so it's quite light. And it makes 185 bhp, so not the big bhp powers that everyone was expecting, but they say that taking that big ugly Euro 4 can off will release a lot of power.
Yeah.
In 4th place is Yamaha's R1M. Everyone agreed that this is just a quality piece of kit. The build quality, the sound of it, nice riding position, it makes you feel special when you're on it. It's really easy to ride fast because of the cross-plane crank engine.
Yeah.
Sounds incredible, and it's got some of the best electronics of all the bikes.
Yeah, the electronics are really noticeable, aren't they?
Yeah, they just save you without being too intrusive. But on the track, it was hard to get it stopped for the slow corners, and at full lean on the slow corners, there's just too much initial torque, and it would just send the thing spinning a little bit, which meant you had to wait till you can get on the throttle. But apart from that, it's fantastic, wasn't it? So it's 4th place. It weighs 201 kilos, so it's quite light, and that makes 190 bhp as well. In 3rd place is the BMW. Now that was actually 2nd fastest on track. It's all about that monster engine and how easy it is to use. It did a 130.23, so it was almost a second faster than the bikes in the 31s that occupied 4th to 7th place. It's just a fantastic mix of track and road kind of excellence. It's really easy to ride on the road and the track. It's got that monster engine, as I say. It's got lots of road refinements with its quick shifters, auto blippers, cruise control, heater grips, the whole 9 yards. But like we said before, that inline 4-cylinder engine is quite bland in this company. And it's put on a little bit of weight over the years. Now it's Euro 4, it's 211 kilos, so that and the Aprilia makes it the heaviest bike here. So in 2nd place is last year's winner, the Ducati 1299 Panigale S. Now this was by far the fastest on the track, even though we didn't really give it a lot of laps to get used to, because it's such a different bike to ride with different gears you need around the circuit. But even so, it got into the 129s, 121.91 around Rockingham. It's really roomy, so that helps on the track as well as the road. It's got an amazing brakes, best brakes of all the bikes.
Yeah.
And just a lot of character, and kind of, you know, everyone wanted it. Everyone wanted to be on it and be seen on it. It just makes you feel good. It's the most expensive bike here. It's 196 kilos, so it's almost the lightest, and makes 190 bhp. So that means our winner is the new Blade. Ta-da! So it's funny, really. Out of the 2 new bikes, we were expecting the Suzuki to win. The Blade's a bit of a slow burner. It didn't really leap out at us on the launch at the track.
No.
We've already ridden it a few times on the road, and its brilliance didn't really sort of seep in. It was kind of a bit of a sort of a silent hero, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, same when you get all the bikes together, the Aprilia stands out, the Ducati stands out, the Honda looks quality and it looks good, but it's not that screaming, brilliant. And on track, it wasn't the fastest.
No, but it was 3rd fastest on the track, and it did a 130.103. And it's only when you ride that bike really hard that you start to realise its brilliance, because it's very light, it's very compact, it's kind of got more than a whiff of RC 213 VS about it in terms of its quality, where you can put it anywhere you like on the track. It's got fantastic electronics, although the ABS was too intrusive on the track. I think it could have gone even faster if we could have turned the ABS off. The build quality is amazing.
I think what makes it different from the Ducati is you went really, really fast on the Ducati, but we had such a varied amount of riders. Everybody went fast on the Blade.
Yeah, exactly.
So you don't have to be, multiple club racing champion. You know, you could just get on it, ride fast, and it was the same on the road. Every bike had a really good quality, but when we was in Wales and it got a bit wet or when it was cold, the slower riders of the group noticeably went safer and faster and felt more at home on the Fireblade than any other bike.
The Öhlins electronic suspension was superb, road and track. I think the best thing about this is not only have Honda really worked hard to get to the back of the Superbike tree. Obviously in racing they're not doing so well, but road bikes and race bikes are completely different anyway, so it's hard to draw those comparisons. But they've just done such an incredible job, and in a way the cheaper Blade that we've ridden is even more impressive, because that hasn't got electronic suspension. That's actually quite stiff and quite front-endy and quite pointy, and it feels racier on the road, and it's another £4 cheaper. So, you know, you can have a cheaper version of the best superbike around for 16 grand. So it's been probably one of our favourite group tests. We've done a lot of riding in different conditions, not all sunny.
No. So, but for 2017,
yeah, it's the Honda Fireblade. The Honda's back.